Hey everyone, so I just wanted to make this quick video to share with you some of the best practices I've learned for social media posting, okay? So these are all S words that tell you how to post on social media, how to use your social media in the right ways. And this is just from what I found, seeing what works in other people and seeing what has worked for myself, okay? So the first one is social. So we sometimes forget that our social media should be social, and that's the whole point. And people respond to things that are social. Facebook rewards things that are social. People are on social media because they want to be social, right? That's part of the reason that they're there. They're looking for connection. They're looking for friends. They're looking for outreach. They're looking for support. They're looking for things that are social. And if you do a post that feels like it's not very social, it doesn't really blend in with the platform enough, and it's not going to get a lot of traction, right? So the danger here, the danger is when we start to follow advice and cookie cutter solutions and stuff, and we try to be too technically accurate with how we implement a business strategy post, right? Like you learn here and you learn other places maybe what strategies to use to grow your social media, right? And you learn how to talk about your story, and you follow formulas to help make your business grow. And you may technically follow steps, but then it doesn't work. It stops working. Why? It's because you forgot the most important element, which is to be social. Okay, so I would say just add in, when you're doing your checklist of what to do on social media, add in the one about being social. Just make sure that you're posting, a lot of it is social. Yes, you don't have to do this every single time maybe, but maybe you just want to make all of the posts you're already doing more social, and sometimes do posts that are just strictly social or just 90% social, just because it gets more traction and it kind of gives people what they want. Okay, so that's the first one. Number two is swagger. Okay, so swagger means, how can you do things in a little bit more of a powerful way with style, right? Power, style. Swagger means it's like you're holding a heavy weight and you're swinging this weight back and forth, right? This is what swagger means. It's like everything that you do has more momentum to it, or more weight on it. It's more momentum, it's more force. Every movement that you make has more power behind it. That's what swagger means, okay? And when you do posting on social media, if you have some swagger, it's gonna help you to get noticed, okay? Things that have swagger get more noticed. I think of like a giant pendulum swinging when I think of swagger, okay? And something that can help with this is the concept of a mic drop. Have you ever heard of a mic drop, where it's like you say something, mic drop, and you just drop the mic? So practice saying things that are mic drops. One thing I did before was if you want to get help with some kind of emotional, issue, you go to a coach and not a therapist, because a coach works for their clients, whereas a therapist works for the insurance company. And I just mic dropped it, right? I didn't try to go back and say, oh, I care about everybody, and let me make this equal for everyone and soothe your feelings and rescue you from feeling a certain way. I didn't do that. I mic dropped it. I just said my position and I mic dropped, and I got, a lot of people commenting, and this was one of the first polarizing posts that I really made, and it brought a lot more traction to my profile. So I believe that using polarity and this that would be more of an extreme version of swagger. When you bring that to your page, maybe right now, if you look, maybe you're getting 3 or 4 or 5 likes and comments. If you want to bring a lot more people, it may be helpful to ignite your profile by making a polarizing post. This is what worked for me, okay? I didn't get that much traction until I did this. So and this is only because I went back and looked, and before I made that post, I wasn't getting much, and then after that, when it blew up, and then after that, I was been able to sometimes get a lot of traction. Okay, so that's an extreme version, polarity. But when you think about swagger, add in, if you want a simple way to apply swagger, think about mic drop. Just say something and mic drop it. One thing I did was like, at the start of the pandemic, I said something about how fear is the real virus, right? This virus is getting, the virus is bringing us all together, and fear is tearing us apart. You know, fear is the real virus. Boom. And mixed responses, right? So that's a mic drop. But if you think about with swagger, I said it's like a giant pendulum. If you look at the physics of a pendulum, it changes direction here, and it changes direction here, and it's actually like a circle. The pendulum, if you graphed it out, has a circular movement to it, in its like acceleration. But at each end of the swing is a mic drop. Does that make sense? At each end of the swing, the people on that side feel like there's a mic drop, and the people on this side feel like there's a mic drop because you're moving away. You move toward them, do something powerful, and then you move away. So if you're looking to practice some swagger, practice mic drops first, and then you'll learn how to incorporate multiple mic drops into what you're doing, which means that you have swagger now. Okay? So something that goes along with this concept is the concept of a stance. You need to start thinking about what is my stance on certain issues. Right? You don't need a stance on every single issue. You need to think about what are the issues that are relevant for my brand and for myself as a person and my practice, what I do. What are some stances that I can take on these important issues? You want to take those. Okay, this allows you to be strong on those issues and bold. You know, confident and bold is another way I was saying, talking about swagger. Confident and bold, right? So, you want to be confident and bold, and here when you take a stance, again, you want to be confident and bold, but you want to be consistent over time, talking about the issues in the same way. It's not like 1 week I feel like this and the other week I feel like that. A stance isn't like that. A stance is where you choose, okay, here's an issue, here's my stance, and you probably contemplate and you deeply reflect until you come up with a stance that you feel represents your business and brand quite well and is true and aligned for you, and it just is gonna work and help you to do what you want to do, which is get clients and have momentum in your business. So you can choose your stance wisely. You know, think about it carefully, choose your stance wisely, and once you pick it, you know, defend it to the death. Like really, you know, speak up for it, and you know, go down with the ship. Like this is what you're supposed to do when you choose a side on a topic. It gets you more notice. You land on the radar. When you do things like this, a little bit more strong, you land on somebody's radar, and people aren't on social media to hear you or to listen to you. That's not why they're there. They're there for their own reasons, their own habits, their own patterns, their own ideas, their own wishes. People are on social media for their own reasons, period. Okay, mic drop that. And they don't care about you. They don't even care about you. And so, how do you get on somebody's radar who isn't thinking about you at all? You have to do things with swagger. You have to be a little bit strong. You have to be a little bit forceful. Like when you speak up about a topic, be strong about it. Don't be don't be like a weakling about the topic. Be strong about it. You don't need to do this for every topic, but you need to pick a few topics that you can be strong about, and then go all in on that stance and really speak it out. Okay? That's going to help you in general in life, but it's going to help your business as well. Okay. So the next one is sensational. This goes along with it. Be a little bit sensational. Why? You know, people like entertainment. People like drama. People like things that appeal to their senses. People like things that are a little bit exaggerated and just like highlighting the good things, right? Sensational kind of means you've highlighted the good things. Okay? Highlight the good things so you can highlight your own wins and your client wins. Yeah, you don't have to hide. You don't have to be modest. You don't have to like, yeah, some of our clients were saying like they feel inauthentic if they only show the good things because there's so much more to them. And yeah, it's true that you should be vulnerable too and share those things too in a calculated way. We'll talk about that a different time. I'll do a whole different video about vulnerability. It's extremely important, but it has to be done well. But here, being sensational means just highlighting the good things. And look, if I were in a professional role as a teacher in a school, which I have done as a substitute teacher many times, who do I present myself as? I highlight my good qualities in a sense, or I play the role, I act the part. I dress the part, I speak the part. I'm not bringing my garbage to the classroom because that's not why people are there. They're there to learn. They're there because they have to be. They're there. I'm there to perform a function, right? And when I was a meditation teacher, it's the same thing. I'm there to perform a function, to help them. Yes, I'm not perfect, but yes, I don't have to tell people about all my imperfections when I'm guiding a class. I can just go and do my job and help them, and it actually helps them more when they have more faith in me, right? It's the same for you. Your clients are going to benefit more from you when they have more faith in you. More faith in you. When they have more faith in you, they will be able to be transformed by you. And you can't transform anybody if they don't have faith in you. I promise you this. I promise you that this is true. No transformation happens without faith from the side of the person who's being transformed. Okay, so if you want to help your clients, you have to learn to present yourself in a way that induces faith, induces inspiration, induces feelings of appreciation, induces belief in something special and beyond the ordinary. Induces positive, pure wishes. These are all faith. Okay, gratitude is also faith. Appreciation is faith. Pure belief is faith. Pure wishes are faith. They're all faith. Okay, and you don't have to pretend to have good qualities that you don't have. You should not pretend to have good qualities that you don't have. But you do have the ability and the permission to just show up presenting, highlighting the good things that will induce faith. That's okay. You don't have to bring your garbage and tell your garbage to everyone. That's not your role. This is social media. This is your business account. You're a business person. You're a healer. You're a coach. You are not obligated to be unprofessional. You're not obligated to bring your garbage and crap here. That's not required. That's not required. Okay? So, yeah, being professional sometimes means highlighting the good things, which also sometimes means being sensational. Being a little bit sensational. It'll catch people's eye, catch their interest. They're used to it from years of, TV watching and whatever. And that's part of it. Be a little bit sensational sometimes, and you probably notice a little bit increase on that particular post. Will do a little bit better than other ones. Okay, so add this in sometimes. Or all the time if you want. Okay, so the next one is stories. Okay, learning to tell stories. How are you going to tell stories? A story, what is a story? A story is an adventure that you take somebody on from point A to point B to point C, right? And the main 3 points in a story are the starting place, which includes the struggle, the transformation, which includes any insights and processes that induce transformation and results. And then the last one is the results and the achievements, both internal and external. Okay, so when you tell a story, this kind of story, you can tell a story to induce belief, right? One way to help everyone believe that my own unique method of transformation works, right? All of you as a healer or coach, you have a unique method of transformation, a unique process that you take somebody through. If you don't already have this, you need to figure it out because it's important for your marketing. And so let's say I have one, in which I do. One way to help people to discover this and to believe in it is for me to give it to them for free so they can experience it. Okay, that's an option. That's certainly an option. And you don't always get to do this. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Give people a little taste of it, sure. Okay, but another way to transfer belief into somebody is to tell them a story. If I were to tell you a story about my own journey of success and how I was struggling just like you, and then I found this cool thing, this cool process, and it worked so well, Wasn't perfect, but like through time and effort, we made it work, and it's like so we honed it in. It's so good now, and as a result, I've achieved all the things that you wish for, externally and internally. I've achieved what you're wishing for right now. If I told a story with the right details there and the right energy, you'd be like, oh, I need that, whatever that thing was that he found that changed it from bad to good, I need that. That's what good stories do. And if I were to tell you a story about my clients who they were struggling just like you, and then we used this unique transformative process on them, and lo and behold, now they're experiencing all these cool things, some of which are what you want, right? Some of the things that you want, they have, right? And if I were to tell that story, you'd be like, oh, I need that thing. I totally just need that thing. Whatever it is, I need it, right? So I'm transferring belief into you. I'm allowing you to cultivate a belief that my unique process works. That's the core belief that has to be sold in a sense. I think the essence of selling is a transfer of energy and belief. That's the essence of a sale. It's a transfer of energy and belief. Zig Ziglar says, sales is a transference of energy. And Zig Ziglar is an amazing human being, sales professional. Sales is a transference of energy. And I would say that along with energy is belief. Sales is also a transference of belief into somebody else. That's the basic sale that happens, is transference of energy and belief. People believe a new thing. They believe something new. And what's the core new thing that they believe is that your unique process works, right? That's it. That's how you become irreplaceable in the marketplace. No competition in a sense, right? Everyone has competition, but in a sense, you neutralize your competition's ability to get a hold on you. In a sense, when you're talking to a prospect and you do this well, the competition falls out of their mind, and they don't even think about competition because in their mind there is none. That's what this does. It doesn't actually eliminate competition in your business, but when you're talking to someone and you do this process well, in their mind there is no competition, and there's only you and them. That's why you do this, okay? So you find a unique process that works that only you have, in a sense, or that you're one of the only people that has it, okay? Okay, so stories help you do this. Stories help you to transfer this belief and energy into a person when you tell a story well. And the three key touch points of a story are the before, during, and after. What happens during the struggle, and the person in the story has the same desires as the ideal client. They're struggling with the same thing as the ideal client is struggling. They've even tried some of the same things that the ideal client has tried. They've tried them too, and they hit a wall, and then they find this. Then they discover this unique transformative process, whatever it is. We call it the one thing sometimes. It's good to be able to essentialize it into one thing. What's one thing? This process, what is the one thing within this process that actually delivers the results? And if you're in our program, then we're going to talk about this with you, or we already have, because it's quite important. So they discover it in the story. They discover it at this point, wow, or they discover the product or the service or something, and then they apply the action steps, and then there's some conflict, right? It's not perfect. There's always conflict. Conflict makes the story more interesting. Don't just make it sound like all fairy tales and rainbows. If you read fairy tales, they have dark stuff in them sometimes. Okay, tell a little bit of the struggle, of the conflict that happens. It makes the story more realistic, and it makes it more interesting. And then the final point is like, okay, what are the outcomes, external and internal? If you're a very internal person, you probably forget to tell about the external outcomes. And a lot of our clients have this problem, and I know I have too. And if you're a very external person, you're gonna have a hard time articulating the internal things, okay? And you need to make sure you do both, because the internal ones are more important and people care about those more. And the external ones they ground it. The external ones really ground it. It's like it's not even real. Something isn't really real unless it's transitioned into physical reality. In one sense, you can say that's true, right? Something isn't really real yet. It hasn't grounded yet. It's not integrated. until it grounds or lands or applies into physical reality. Then at that point is real. I mean, I think there's truth to that statement. And the person listening to the story kind of correctly knows that. And they're waiting to hear, trust me, people are waiting to hear you tell them how your physical reality changes. Maybe your job changes. Maybe your relationship goes better. Maybe you make more money. Maybe like people at work like smile at you and look at you different because they can see how happy you are. Or maybe you're getting a promotion because of this. Or maybe, you know, your body just as naturally became like healthier and stronger, and you lost weight and you started to glow physically. You know what I mean, right? So you have to list the physical changes, okay? And that's gonna ground it. And that's the end point of the story, is the external and internal transformations that have occurred. Okay, so that's about a story. And really, if you want to sell something, you just need a good story with it. Stories are the key to sales. That's why they call it story selling. If I wanted to sell you, it doesn't really matter what it is. If I found the right story to tell, I could probably sell you. Okay, it's the same thing for your product and service. You have to find the right story, and then it's gonna work. Okay. The next one is service-based. Make sure that whatever you're doing is service-based. And if you're listening to formulas and applying things and doing what I say in other places, great. And just please remember to include service, right? People have a natural reciprocity need. Like if they receive something, they want to give back. If someone is giving to, they immediately just think, oh, how can I give back to this person? And if you want to sell a $2,000 package, you have to give them, in a sense, I've heard this, tell me if you like this, you have to give $2,000 worth of value for free to them. Or you have to have already, doesn't have to be for free, but you have to already have given them $2,000 worth of value for them to pay you $2,000. I'm not going to say this is a rule of thumb. It's just a helpful way of thinking. How can you give away more value, which will inspire people to give back by signing up with you? It's just a good point. And whatever you're doing, you don't have to go crazy like a chicken with their head cut off. We're trying to be of service. That's not really going to help if you get burned out. What I really would like to suggest is whatever you're already going to do, just make sure you bring service into that. So the 3 points that you're going to list in your post, think, how can I change somebody's life with these today? Your headline, instead of making like the headline that's like technically correct, yeah, make it technically correct, kind of, and then think, okay, how can I serve people with this headline? How can I make their day better or their life better with this headline? And probably, you know, as you know, a headline doesn't sell the product or service; it sells the rest of the marketing campaign, of the ad, or of the rest of the page, or the rest of the post, or the rest of the video. So the headline might sell your video, or it might sell people to click that see more button and see the rest of your post. Does that make sense? Or it sells them on giving you the time, 10 seconds of their time. Okay. So what I'm saying is bring, if you know how valuable your video or your post is, your headline is going to be of service because it wants them to read the rest. Okay. Okay. So just apply service, really go out there, try to help people, bring this mind of service. You could forget everything else I'm saying and just do this, and you're going to get good results. It's actually this simple. If you just did this step, you're going to get good results eventually. I promise you that. So however much service you think you're being right now, multiply it by 10, and you're going to see fantastic results. Okay. Next one is stay in your lane. So this just means, I think, choose your battles. Choose your battles and win your battles. Don't choose battles that you can't win or that aren't in your lane, right? So I had a friend join a coaching program at the same time as me, and she started off doing pretty good. She was building a business from scratch, and then she started posting all about the pandemic and other conspiracy things. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying that it's not valuable to spread, but what I am saying is that her whole Facebook profile, which was supposed to be about business, got full of conspiracy crap, and it probably just diluted her message. And maybe for her brand, she made a conscious choice, like, yes, this is aligned, This is my lane. I need to win this battle. If that's true, fine. But in many cases, probably people don't do it for those reasons. They do it more for like the reasons of compulsion and yeah, just not being able to control themselves and being emotional and just being like a little bit neurotic and fearful, paranoid, right? So don't do that. You know, choose wisely for your brand. What are the issues for your brand that you want you to have a voice on? You know, the issues that actually go with your brand, that are part of your lane, right? Pick a few core issues that you are going to comment on. Those are going to be, it's not just like one thing. It's not just not, I'm not trying to tie you down to one thing. I'm just trying to say, like, find a few things and then those are your lane and just do those. And if something comes out that's outside of that lane, why do it, right? Why do it? There's certain things that are outside of my lane, right? I mean, I don't even want to go in because it just gonna sound crazy, but like cryptocurrency, even though I've traded a little bit in the past, it's outside of my lane. I don't even want to comment on it. For my brand, it just confuses the issue. If people think about me and cryptocurrency together, it just confuses them. Yeah, there's so many other things probably too, like e-commerce, like selling physical products. That's not my lane. I don't care. It's not that I don't even care. I see it as a great opportunity, but I've chosen a different lane. I've chosen information and coaching as my businesses, right? And heart-centered things. And at some point, maybe e-commerce and selling physical items will be part of my lane, but right now it's not. So I don't even comment on it, right? There's probably so many other things that are just not in my lane, and you can choose your own lane too. Choose your own lane. Okay. Real estate is outside of my lane. I don't have any voice on that issue. I don't need to, right? And it's like spiritual topics. If there's a spiritual, like politics is outside my lane. But if something happens politically or in the world, and I want to give a spiritual lens to it, that's my lane, right? I can give a spiritual comment on anything, and that's my lane. Spirituality is my lane. Getting people to adjust their viewpoints to benefit them is my lane. So I do that all day. I'm always happy to do that. Okay? So you choose your own lane and just stay there. It just means choose the battles that you can win and then win those battles. And then just don't participate in the other battles unless you really want to, unless you really commit to winning them and going all in. And there's certain battles that you're not going to win. Conspiracy theories is one of those, that you're just not going to win that battle. You're going to be stomped out in silence before you win that battle, I promise you. Okay, say yes. So a fundamental tool of marketing and business and sales is getting your clients to say yes. Get your clients to say yes 1,000 times before you make them your real offer. Get them to say yes. Hey, would you be interested in hearing about this? Hey, I have a question for you. Suppose I was able to do this. Would you like that? Would you be interested? Hey, yes, you know, there's just countless things like, hey, what I'm hearing you say is this. Hey, is it true that, you know, if we solve this problem for you, you know, you'd be willing to invest? But, you know, that's during sales. During marketing, it's like, hey, who here, you know, you do a post and you're like, blah, 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 who agrees with this? And you want your ideal clients to say yes. You don't want your non-ideal clients to say yes. You want your ideal clients to say yes. So you structure your questions so that your ideal clients say yes to them. A question could go both ways, right? When you say, like, when you do a question and you're looking for answers on both sides, it could be a yes or it could be a no. And how do you frame the yes or the no? We frame it so that the ideal client says yes and the non-ideal client says no. Okay, you always want your ideal client saying yes to you. So who here is interested in this? Who's a coach who wants this? Hey, is anyone here struggling with this? Who here wants help with this? Right? You'd be surprised. Some of those posts are the most successful. And you try not to overuse it, but your most successful posts are probably going to be those ones in the beginning because they're so simple and easy to do, but yet they're just powerful for some reason. They just get people to raise their hand and say, yes, me, I want that. Or I'm interested, or yes, I'm struggling here. It's great. This is really great. Who here, whatever, right? And a lot of times if I do more of a story post, I'll use the story formula that I just shared. And on social media, when I'm not doing like an ad, if I'm doing like social media posting, I don't always end in like a hard call to action. I'll sometimes just like tell my story, and then I'll transition to something else, like connecting to the audience or turning it back to the audience, saying, "Hey, can anyone here relate? What's your story?" But you can do a soft close on your social media post, especially if you're in somebody else's group. If you're in someone else's group, you definitely no call to action. Instead of the end of the post, turn it into a testimonial for the group leaders and just say like how great they are and how grateful you are to be there and all the great things about them. Just like turn it into something where you start to kiss their ass a little bit at the end. It'll get the post approved, right? They'll approve the post when you do that, and then you're incognito connecting to people and telling your story, and you don't do a hard call to action, but people are going to reach out to you anyway. I get a lot of people who message me based on posts that I make without a call to action, okay? And people will comment to you. They'll comment, "Oh wow," whatever, and then if there's a real connection, like reply to everyone, and then feel free to message if there's a connection or if someone needs your help or something. You don't have to tell them, "Hey, I'm going to message you." Just message them, right? I've gotten a lot of great leads, and I think probably some sales like this. Okay. Well, yeah, I'd say definitely some sales like this. So you want your ideal client saying yes, and before you ask them to spend however much money with you, make sure they've said yes to you a lot of times already. This gives you momentum on the yes train. The yes train builds up lots of momentum, and so then when you pose that final question, they're like, yes. Does that make sense? Build the yes train momentum. Okay, sauna experience. So a sauna or a spa is like a very sensory experience where everything there is designed to give you a certain feel, right? A certain experience. Every element there has the same end goal in mind. So you can think for yourself, what is the experience that I'm looking to transfer to my audience? What are some of your brand feels, your brand experiences? So for me, calm is one of them. Free is another one. Connection is another one. And I try to give the feeling of calm and freedom and connection whenever I do anything. I really do. And people who interact with me will often say that how calm I am and that I make them feel more calm, right? And this is an experience that I can transfer to somebody else. And if this is part of my brand image, my brand signature, then I try to include it. I try to think, but it's like you have the end in mind. Think about what is the experience that you want your clients to have or your prospects to have. What is the experience that you want them to have? And you get that in your mind first, and then you do the post with that in mind, and then it'll create the experience, if that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. So think about it ahead of time. What is the experience you want them to have? And then you do everything with that intention, and you'll deliver that experience. And this is what Asana does, right? They knew the experience, and then they're like, okay, let's just add in all these things that give that experience, and it's very sensory, and people love it. Okay, people don't remember what you said; they remember how you make them feel, and that's true. Okay. The next one is simple. So simple means simple, which just means no frills, no filters, just not decorated, not too ornamented, very plain, and it just kind of gets the job done. The shortest path between, your message and your audience is a simple post has less for them to digest. It's easy to digest, they get it. There's not like other stuff in there that makes it hard to figure out. It's just there without other stuff. And you'll find that if you allow yourself to make simple posts, that you'll get 30% more out there, probably, or more, maybe 50% more out there. And also, a lot of times they work really, really, really well. We found that simple posts work better than other posts sometimes. Like, you'll be surprised. Sometimes something is just so obvious and you're just like, how could this ever work? But just do it. You're gonna find that the simple posts work better than some of the elaborate posts in many cases. In many cases they do, and you'll never know that until you try. So just go try to make some. You don't have to make all your posts simple or all your videos simple. You don't have to do that. But sometimes do, and see how it feels. And sometimes when you're like, you have an inspiration for something and you don't want to put it out there unless it's like very decorated and elaborate or whatever, if you always stop yourself here, you're not going to get a lot done, and you're going to end up missing out on a lot of great opportunities. Maybe you just caught a vibe, you caught an energy, and you put it out there at the right time and people resonate. You have to give yourself permission. The shortest path to actually getting there is going to be simplicity in many cases, and it's also easier to digest. Simplicity is easier to digest for your audience. My spiritual teacher said to me and the other teachers, he said, give your students simple food, like a mother bird. Like a mother bird chews up the food and then they give it. And the baby bird can handle it because it's simple. It's already been chewed, right? So if you're really good at a topic, you've chewed it so many times, give simple food to your audience and they're gonna digest it well because they're the baby birds here, okay? Okay, the next one is strong. So feel free to be strong. Take a strong stance. Sometimes do things that are strong, get noticed, be strong. It's a good thing, okay? Just try it. You don't have to always be strong. I'd say vulnerability is strong anyway, but experiment with being more strong. You're gonna get better results. Okay, the next one is status. Status is one of the main things that makes people move. When you put your post out there, make sure that there's like a higher status feel so that the audience or the ideal clients, they actually feel like their status will be elevated just by working with you. Just by being associated with you, their status will improve. And if you have that, they're gonna wanna work with you. They're gonna say yes. Does that make sense? So you think, how is the status of my ideal client gonna change if they sign up with me versus not signing up with me? If their status is going to be better if they don't sign up, guess what? They're not going to sign up. If their status will be better if they do sign up, that is like a good reason for them to do it. They may do it for that reason alone. And you're going to be confused sometimes as why did this person join my program? They wanted a status upgrade. Sometimes the people who are not super ideal for us, or you're just like, why did they join? Sometimes it's because they wanted a status upgrade. And they felt that you we're going to offer them a status upgrade just by being associated with you. Think about it. Who in general, who in the world doesn't like to brag about how they're associated with Tony Robbins, right? Everybody who's ever met him or whatever, how many status points do they gain just by saying his name and saying something positive about him? It's a status elevator. He elevates people's status. And I'm sure that this has been extremely conscious. He knows a lot of things and he did them well. And I think that he consciously knew that he could, or that he needed to elevate people's status in their minds if he wanted to kind of go super viral like he has. Yeah, so it's the same for you. So when you do a post, just think, how is this post elevating the status of my ideal client if they sign up with me? Right? Something like that. Like, try to include a higher level of status, like an elevated status feel, so that people have to kind of like step into a higher level of status just to like read your work or watch your video. They have to like step up to a little bit higher level of status, and that it's going to help them in the status way. Okay? This is kind of an esoteric point, so I hope that you're getting it. It's really, really, really true. And Russell Brunson says that one of the main reasons people move is status. He says that it's actually the only thing that makes people move. Okay, and he quoted somebody else with that, but think about it. Status makes people move, a higher status. A higher status is important to people. And your program can offer that to people, and just associating with you can offer that. But you have to position yourself in that way. You have to be mindful of that, and that means you need to apply everything else. You need good PR, you need to be positive and electric, you need to be all the right things. And yeah, just think, how am I elevating people's status, and make sure that you're doing that in your posts, okay? and in your program. Or like there's the feel. It's just a feel. It's a feel of higher status. Okay. The very last one is the basic switch from content consumer to content creator. Okay, so right now you are consuming on social media, and you're also doing some creating. So I want you to examine your ratio and to try to make it a 50% ratio or better, right? So if you're already consuming much more than you create, aim for that 50% where you're creating and consuming equally. So how many minutes today were you on Instagram? Okay, how many minutes of content did you create for Instagram today? How about for Facebook? How much did you consume versus how much did you create? And if you start to relate to yourself as a content creator, this is your job now. People go on social media in many cases to consume content, or they go on for a certain reason and they just end up consuming lots of content. It's insane how people are doing this, and now your role is to be one of those creators who you will be creating the content and your audience will be consuming the content. And I know it sounds interesting. It's an interesting step up for you. It's an energetic step up for you. Congratulations, you've just been promoted to a content creator. Okay, so make sure you're creating lots of content, very helpful content. Think of yourself as a content creator, not a content consumer, and adjust your ratio so that you're creating more than you consume. And if you feel like you're already at like 50% each, go to 75. 75% of the time on social media you're creating, meaning how many minutes how many minutes have you spent today creating content for this platform? How many minutes have you spent consuming? And make that a 75% ratio where you're creating more than you're consuming. Okay, and this is interesting. Your audience will find you. They're still in consuming mode, and they're gonna admire you simply for the fact that you're the one creating content. And it's just a basic switch. This is just a basic switch that we all have to make in our minds. And it's a wonderful thing because our life will improve just by doing this anyway. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you guys can think of any other S words that help, feel free to list them below in the comments. And yeah, I'm just really grateful for you all. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.